All right, we're live. I'm Joshua Kemble, and this is my live stream where I work on comics. Basically, I'm an art director for a living, and then have done graphic design and illustration for about 20 years. And this is the stream where I work on graphic novels like Jacob's Apartment and Two Stories, which I'll be playing trailers of as the stream goes on. And I'm currently working on a book called Not Death But Love, The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which is a historical fiction graphic novel. And I'll be working on that during this stream. So let's go to that view. And I'm kind of doing this pretty last minute on a Saturday night. So who knows who all might show up. But we'll just kind of see how it goes. So anyhow, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and get to my view. So over here is, I thought I'd show off the page that I finished off stream. This is page 52 of 230 pages that I need to get done. So that's the finished page, and I'll go ahead and basically be working on page 53 and the shading on that page. But what I'll do real quick for those of you who watch the stream, I know some people are kind of invested in the story so far, so we'll go ahead and read page 52, and hopefully that puts me in the mood to just kind of do some shading. And then I should be streaming from about 9 to 11 o'clock, so we'll see how well I hold up in that process as well. So let's see here. So Chapel House, Twickenham, London. I hold it true, whatever befall. This is Tennyson reading. I feel it when I sorrow most. 'Tis better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. And then this is an artist, and I'm blanking out on his name, but he's actually a historical figure. Doing a famous sketch of Tennyson that the Brownings later had hung in their house, which is kind of rad. But anyhow, and he's saying, I feel it when I sorrow most. 'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And then everybody's clapping. Tennyson, who we don't know is Tennyson yet, unless we're like really astute, but we will know on the next page, I believe. So yeah, he bows, and then we're on to this page, and this page is where now he's going to be asking Robert Browning to read him a story. So exciting times. So what I have to do is basically just go through here and shade and do the shading on my line art, which is going to take forever. So we'll see how this goes. Full disclosure, I didn't even feel like streaming today because I just like felt like I don't have a ton I want to talk about. I know we had a pretty good guest on Artcasters yesterday, and I'm kind of thankful because like I haven't really felt like I've had like a ton to talk about, and the guest was just incredible. So you guys can check that out on my channel. But they kind of took the reins and kind of ran the whole show almost, and it was actually great. I absolutely love guests like that because I was able to get quite a bit of work done. I think I finished flatting that last page that we just looked at there. So anyhow, things are going okay here. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like stuff I've been doing. I've been watching some drama streams lately just for fun. Sometimes I'll put on like political debates and stuff when I'm working on comics because it's just like a fun background. So I think between that and like sometimes I'll be tuning into like Adam Lohr's streams. I caught up to Gary Hodges, who had the same guest on his show. She was actually a recommendation of his. And so it's Lori Calcadera. That's who we had on Artcasters. But he did an excellent job interviewing her, too. I think that Gary, I've said this before, but I feel like Gary has a real gift for interviewing people. He's a very inquisitive guy, and he's a good listener. I'll also say, if you guys are listening and you want to kind of join in and hang out while we work, I am actually working on a part where I could actually do that. So I'm more than happy to have folks on to talk if you guys are interested in that. But if you're lurking and kind of enjoying the kind of company while you draw, hope you're having a successful drawing night. And in this case, I'm establishing the light source is going to be from the left, kind of to the, or sorry, from the right to the left. And so that's basically what I have to do. But yeah, so I've been listening to a lot of streams. I've been thinking a lot. Oh, Christopher Runciman. Christopher, do you want to hop on stream? He said, looking good, fella. Hi, everybody. Christopher, if you want to hop on stream, I'd be more than happy. As I said, I've been in a weird position of, usually I'm a guy who talks too much and can't ever really run out of things to say or talk about. But I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like the last few days, I've been very like into just kind of listening and stuff. So I've been hoping to be like at a point on my art where I could actually have conversations with people and stuff like that. So Christopher, if you want to hop in, let me know. I can shoot you a link on Facebook. And I think Christopher said sure. So that's awesome. Let me shoot that over to you. Do. Now my internet's being laggy. Hold on a sec. Should be able to get in Messenger, hopefully. And let's see here. So I'm going to send it to you on Facebook if my internet isn't totally cutting out. Are you guys hearing this stream okay? Because it's being really laggy on my end. There we go. Okay. Christopher, I shot you a link. I'll put on my headphones so I can actually hear you when you hop in. And we'll see how that goes. So yeah, so like I just really was enjoying kind of, it's weird. It's like there's seasons as an artist, and it's like I feel like I have been kind of in that zone of like just knocking out pages. And so I've been doing a lot of work off stream, but also I've been having like a really good output level. So it's like I don't want to mess with like good momentum. And I definitely never want, YouTube to like take the place of making good art. And so I like doing these streams, but it's like if it's between getting pages done and focused pages done. Yeah, so this is craziness. These are all historical figures too. So like drawing this page was pretty intense. Just trying to kind of figure out everybody's different facial structures and stuff like that. But it's always fascinating doing this like rendering part. I kind of enjoy it. And I kind of feel like, let's see. I tracked a little bit of music. It was funny on Artcasters. I was planning on doing a little, I had tracked a song and I thought it would be cool to use it as like a theme song. And you guys might get a kick out of this because like when we did Artcasters and went live, I thought I was talking over the music because I thought StreamYard, definitely lets you talk over the music. And hold on a sec. My Wacom is crapping out. I got to reconnect it. This weird thing happens sometimes with the Wacom tablet when I'm working. Oh, there we go. We got Christopher. Awesome. Let me throw Christopher on there.
Second, I got to turn my sound down here.
Oh, there we go. We got Christopher. How's it going? I'm hearing a little bit of slapback.
Yeah, give me a second here, and I'm gonna.
Okay.
Figure out the magic of technologies.
That's okay, because like while you're figuring that out.
While,
sorry, what?
Watching the show. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but give me just 1 second, Josh.
No worries.
Okay, I think I'm coming through in a sec. I'm so organized.
No worries. What are you working on?
Hi, buddy.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, hold on a sec. I got junk all over the place here. And
I'm having my Wacom tablet just die on me. It's weird. It's like this happens with the new OS for some reason.
Oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, so I keep having to like unplug it and then plug it in again. And sometimes that'll work it. We've got you. How's it going? Oh, can you hear me okay?
I'm moving in the dark. It is. I got a delay and I got to figure out how to get rid of that.
Oh, okay. No worries. I totally understand. Delays can be a pain in the butt.
I think I have the answer.
This is a technical issues stream because I'm like, meanwhile, trying to fix my Wacom tablet.
Set up for certain things. And hey,
how's it going? Christopher, you still there?
I'm here. It's good.
Okay.
How are you?
Pretty good. I'm just like trying to fix my Wacom tablet. Strangely enough, it just stopped working. So I gotta try my trick where I sometimes if I quit out of Photoshop, it'll fix it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just having this sort of blowback because the sound was still coming through the YouTube and
oh yeah, I've had that
at once, and it's ridiculous. Sorry for the confusion.
No worries, man. It made it entertaining for a little bit while I'm having to reboot my Photoshop. So
it's just calamity all at once for both. So it was fun.
Well, how are you doing, man? How's the weather in Canada right now?
It is fine. It's nice and cool down, and it is. I actually got out and did some stuff outside today. Really enjoyed that. There, look, it's daytime now. It's not. It's after midnight here. Yeah, I set up my rig and my gear and stuff like that, and I've painted my studio this week, and had some fun.
Nice. And you painted in your studio, or you painted your studio?
I painted my studio, and I don't know. Hold on. Let's see if I can make it get picked up here. So there's an alcove beside me, which is full of studio supplies. And it has been cherry red because it used to be the color of the alcove. And so I got this all nicely painted white now.
Oh, wow.
And I've got my fun little lights set up on the wall here. Just give me a sec. There's my on air light here.
Oh, I like it.
And this one says, "We're gonna make a hot cereal lover out of you." I mean, so dumb.
Wait, a hot cereal?
Yeah, there was a thing. I think I just lost your image on my screen. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Can you see it? Can you see what it says?
Not too well.
Okay, so there's a commercial, at least here in television, that was for a breakfast oatmeal, and it'd say, "We're gonna make a hot cereal lover out of you," and this kid go, "Out of me?" Mm-hmm. And so I have that randomly up in lights because I'm peculiar, and so yeah, little fun things like that I do in my studio all the time. And my wife is actually going to be recording a review of Jacob's apartment.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, tomorrow she's going to be recording it. It might end up being a couple minutes long, but she's doing it tomorrow, and she really enjoyed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to be a positive review.
Well,
Really
that's always preferable. Honestly,
I don't know why you'd get a negative one on that. It's a great book.
I've heard it's weird. I've established this pattern since like I first put out my first comic a long time ago called Numb. Yeah. And ever since then, I have like posted any review whatsoever. Like I'll link to a review that's like a crappy review that just rips me apart.
Wow.
And I'll link to good reviews because I like kind of want to let at least reviewers know like I don't mind, like I can take a little heat.
Yeah.
And aside from the fact that like, hey, if people are reading it and having a reaction in general, like it makes me pretty happy. But I am of course very vain, and so yeah, I'm happy if it's a good review. Like anyone.
I'd be surprised you get negative ones at all because that's a solid structure book. It's blatantly obvious. I know that when you say it's like eternal spotless, what the hell's that? There's eternal sunshine of the spotless mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And mixed with what?
Ghost World. It's just to give people an idea of like the vibe, you know, that it's like a doomed romance and that it deals with dreams and reality kind of interweaving.
That's fun. I think that's fun that you have this associative referral to another project, but I was thinking about that hard, and I'm like, I don't think that does your book enough merit because the ability to convey just the basic emotion of relationships entirely working out, you know, in its simplistic form, not in this fantastical way that the Eternal Sunshine associates in my mind, at least.
Yeah.
And I don't think I think yours is so much more direct and, you know, but I mean, it works for you, but doing it this long, you might as well keep saying that is your referral. But I think that yours has far more autonomy than those other two projects.
Oh, thank you.
You know, and, you know, because there's a challenging thing. I'm going to move a wire and see if it works. Yay! Okay. There's a challenging thing when we're working on stuff to maintain the integrity of our own independent individual creative perspective. Like we really want to have that sense that the material that we're creating is ours and ours own. And it's not material that's, well, it's always going to be reflective of things that we enjoy, but it's not necessarily going to be dependent upon those other materials. It's not going to be dependent upon the fact that we're so learned in our associative genre that we've read all of the set tomes that one should read in order to write this type of book. You know, it's important to have our own unique voice.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I hate pitching, and I've always been terrible at it because I tend to not, like when I'm creating, I'm not thinking about Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind.
No, of course not.
And, you know, like, for instance, like whenever I pitch this book, you know, I will probably talk about the fact that it's kind of like a thriller Jane Austen novel.
Like Michael Jackson's Video?
No, like a thriller, like the movie, not the song.
I'm being an idiot.
Although, hey, that's a damn good song. Still don't know how to feel about Michael Jackson, but I love his music still. So
I have a hard time with that too because
yeah,
of the associations therein and our own degree of where we stand on the truth of things or not, and it makes it hard to listen to that stuff without that association.
yeah. And there's some people where it never like the association doesn't bother me, for some reason or another. But like with him, it like I don't know. I think it might be that last documentary where it kind of crossed the line where I was like, I don't know if I can like listen to this music anymore and
I
enjoy
can
it as
listen.
much.
I can listen to his music to a certain point, and then I just shut it off after that.
Yeah,
Like for me, it's the Thriller album, and
yeah,
after Thriller, I just don't like anything he did. It's just weird because everything else he did was right, related to whatever other potential goings on. But we don't know any timelines or anything like that. We don't know
yeah.
the veracity of all those things. But for me, it's just I seem to be pretty good with the Jackson 5, and I seem to
Oh
be pretty
yeah,
good with Ben, Off the Wall, and Thriller. But then after Thriller, I'm not interested in listening to anything else. That's when I
yeah.
switch. That's when I switch over to Weird Al for the rest of Michael Jackson's songs.
I love it. Who, by the way, puts on a damn good live concert.
Apparently, one of the best live concerts in the history of music.
Yeah, so there was this one year where I live is like it's like a deserty area. It's like the very fringes of LA County. And so to give you perspective on it, the end of Seven, when he like is like, "What's in the box? What's in the box?" Do you remember Seven, the movie?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he's like outside on this like big dirt road by like a prison, like out in the middle of nowhere, and that's kind of right near where I live. so the Antelope Valley's like, and you'll also know it because like the same prison's like in Say Anything at the end when he talks to the dad in the prison, which makes me proud because like I still am a huge John Cusack fan. So
do you know that was my wife's favorite favorite film at one point, and
it's
so
good.
I've actually got a toy. It's a plastic vinyl statue. It's this cool vinyl thing made by this creator in England, and it's John Cusack holding the ghetto blaster above his head.
Oh, nice.
And so it's one of the few things, a few sort of memento toy things that my wife has in her office, and it's the Say Anything John Cusack ghetto blaster. And all that. And people are like,
that's rad.
What the hell is that?
It always cracks me up because my wife and I quite often like I'll be like for instance, I think I introduced her to Say Anything. I was like, "You need to see this movie," and she's like,
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it's funny because it's like whereas most people it would be the wife like dragging the husband to see it or whatever. I was just like, man, this is the coolest movie. I really like Cameron Crowe. I think 9 times out of 10.
He had a really strong run of films. He really did.
Yeah, like I think Say Anything is like one of my top 5 movies, possibly. I don't know. I think I did a fake top 5 list thing. That's the problem. I don't know how Jim and Gary are doing it with that top 5.
I can't do top 5s. Period. Just flat out, I refuse to do them because I'm so changeable, and my. It's not to say that the problem with this, but comparison leads to, unfortunately, associative disagreement, right? And the fact that they can choose their 5s, that's great. And the fact that I can't, based on my own hang up about my tastes are eclectic and broad, and I'm one of those annoying people with that crazy memory that remembers everything. And there's this, somebody told me what it was. It's some sort of autonomic type. I have highly associative memory, and so within no time flat, I can pick up on, it's this guy at that place and this thing.
Yeah.
This, and the scene was this. but I can remember motion picture scenes in my head. I can, like, the books that I've read. I can remember all the parts of the books, and it's really, it sounds far more aggrandized than it is, but it's highly associative, right? So once I start thinking about something enough, it'll all just start pounding in there visually.
Oh wow.
Which can be really annoying. And
that's funny. I have terrible memory, but then when I'm in the middle of a conversation, my memory will kick in sometimes, like on things that I had totally forgotten about. And I tend to go on tangents of memory, which is like a weird thing, you know.
Like I'm terrible for remembering jokes. But when I think about a joke, I'm good. But if that joke is contingent on a word or a term or a relatable phrase to something else, then I'll be like, what is a word? What is a word? What is a word? But it'll come to me once I'm saying the line of it. Like,
that's awesome. It's like a superpower.
No. It's more like one of those obnoxious things where your friends don't invite you for quizzes. There's a great joke about.
What's great, you could be like the casino that like the guy who's banned from casinos, but whenever you're allowed in one, you're gonna sweep up, you know.
Oh, sure. My friends invited me to the local university to be on their quiz team.
Mm-hmm.
And the quiz thing that night was going to be motion pictures. And so they're like, Runsman, you're coming. And I'm like, well, I don't really do these things. And, and at the time I was, on my own that night. And so okay, all right, I'll come, fine. I could afford 2 beers, and so this drinking and quizzing night. And then somebody at another table called me a ringer. You got a ringer, because it's just all clicks into my head, and it's like their scores were very good that night, and apparently the week before they were terrible. And
lovely.
So they said, you brought in a ringer, and I felt so bad about it. I've never gone to one since. Just because this is a high point for some people, is attending quizzes and doing these things. And so obnoxious jerks that have a really highly associative memory shouldn't be allowed. They take the fun. You don't want to take the fun out of anything for people. So,
well, that's sweet of you. I appreciate that as somebody who blinks out all the time.
I got a great joke that, of course, and this is what I'm talking about when I talk about associative memory. I'm panicking on what it is, and it's a terrible joke. But I had a number of the people over, a number of friends over at the house, and so, okay, 2015, I started the comic company, right, with my wife, and she discovered a bunch of finished books in a drawer, and she'd said, you got to do something. Why aren't you doing anything with these? Because I'm working at, like when we met, my studio was beside where her office was, in a place downtown. And so she would stop by and see the weirdo artist next door. And we talked for months about, the similarities and our what had been going on in our lives, and raising kids as single parents, and having exes with the same challenge that made our lives complete and utter chaos. And it was just all these synergistic connections. And it took me 8 months to get the courage to ask her for a date. Rescheduled it like a jerk. And then it took me another month before I panicked asked her for a date on April Fool's, without realizing it was April Fool's. And yet we're married. Like, I don't know how she put up with any of that. But when she'd come and visit me at the studio, I don't even know where I started with this story. I was doing a portrait of like a politician here in the country, that's at the House of Commons now, and it's like, which is our capital. And it was just this sort of really, I was doing a lot of portrait work and a lot of painting work and stuff like that. But I was drawing comics on the side. It was like a mental health thing for me.
Yeah, it's. I think that for a lot of us.
Yeah, right. So she found these 3 finished books, and they're complicated drawings, sort of like this level of complicated images. It's like you're just really involved pieces, and she's like, "Why haven't you done anything with these? What's going on?" I'm like, "Well, it's the whole thing, and I don't know how to go about it." Blah, 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 right. So we decided, you know, let's publish them. Let's get them out there. See if people like that. And we did, and it just took right off. And so now it's 2022, and RP Comics, Runciman Press, the comic company that we started just to publish my own junk. We've published 69 books and 250 people,
That's incredible.
and the one I just finished, the Sasquatch book, is my 31st book. It's like, and yet it's all regionally based. Like I never bothered with any distribution, or I never pursued anything beyond that. And so now I'm at the point where, since I'm working at home full time now, I'm pursuing those things. I'm going to pursue further avenues in order to put my work out there. But
That's awesome.
It took like this long, drawn out process for all that. So the whole point I started telling you this is that, I'm at a point now where I'm really enjoying and engaging in things like just making books and telling. Like I finally found my path.
Yeah.
And it was helpful because your podcast and how you go about your working, and while you're working, you're talking about your process. And I realized that, when I go to schools and I'll teach kids about storytelling, or like Monday night, I have what's called the London Comic Jam that I run.
Nice.
And it's got all these people that come out. It's an exquisite corpse type thing where one person draws the first panel and then slides it into the table. And then the next person draws the second panel, slides it into the table. We'll have all these pages going on around the table, and all these narratives and all these different things. And it forces you to really editorialize how you approach story and how you input into a narrative. It forces everybody to grow. Well, that's the group I had at my house one night, right? I'm coming back to it. And to my whole initial thing. That's the group we had at the house the one night. We're just chatting and hanging out because we were formatting one of the gang's books in order to have them printed for a local comic convention so we could have them out. But I managed to get out like this great joke, and I can never do that because like this associative memory thing, I can never do that. I can never remember that line. What is it when somebody, it starts with a P and somebody's being really condescending, but it, it's like another word for that, but it starts with a P, like when you're talking down to somebody, you're being corrective and aloof and stuff like that.
Oh man,
now
I'm blanking out on that one. Pretentious.
No, it's not that. It's P-A-T. Yeah.
Patronizing.
No, I think you mean patronizing.
Yeah.
See, that's the terrible joke.
That is a good joke.
And I'm so bad at jokes. The fact I can remember that.
Oh, that's a good one.
And if you say patronizing, I say it's patronizing. And if you say it's patronizing, I say it's patronizing. So there's no way to win for the other person, right?
That's so hilarious. That's great. But, I did a shirt a long time ago that was called Ye Old Vintage Pretension. And it was like this guy like looking all cocky and like a British gentleman like all proudly standing above like a child. And it says something like utilizing a vaster knowledge of music to humiliate the common man, something like that.
That's awesome. I love one image pieces with where the text just obliviates whatever's going on in your brain, and you can only remember that. Like you can only remember that text for a little while. There was a small cartoon that has this artist sitting in front of an easel, and it's got Joe Business standing beside him. You know, he's got this going on, right?
I like it.
Right. And he says, and it's as he's looking at the painting, he says to the artist, "Yeah, I see it. So what do you do for a living?" This is, I hate this image so much, but it's never going to leave because Mr. Pretentious there has just etched that into my brain.
That's great. That's amazing though. Like I still think it's really cool that you guys kind of went for it and have put out so many comics and stuff. It's kind of inspiring.
Well, it's all just regionally based, and it's like, so the London Comic Jam that I've been running at a local gallery for 5 years before COVID, and since COVID, like we're back since February, and we do it the second Monday of every month. This month we're doing it the third Monday because we just had our Thanksgiving. But it's been going since 2015, and there's so I collect a bunch of those Comic Jam pages and I publish them. And I don't know if I sent you some of those. I know Scott's got a couple. And
yeah, you did. They're great.
Frank Salazar's got some. And
my favorite is the one-page Comic Jam that's like the select. It's like all of your stuff, but just your one-pagers. I think that's great. But they're all really interesting.
I got a bunch more of those that I haven't shown yet. All right, well, I've shown, but not very much. You know what I mean? Like, here, I'll show you. They're called snippets. I've done 103 of those, and those started as somebody gives me a suggestion, and it started the day we shut down for COVID in Canada. I went home, signed on my computer. On all social media, I started saying, like, if you got a one-page comic idea, let me know, and I'll write it and draw it. Just a simple one-page notion. Wouldn't it be funny if somebody's dog got superpowers? Whatever, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Now I've done 103 since then. Because people just keep coming up with the most outlandish things. But I keep doing these. So, hold on a second. I'll take my face off of here. Can I do that? Do I have the technologies? Oh, hey, there we go. So this is another one. This is a focused examination on the behavior of the youth of today. Boys will be boys. And it's just a grandma complaining about kids.
Huh.
They're always restless, out for fun, loud, disruptive, and rude. They wreck my petunias. Boys are the worst. And then one of the kids says, she farts. You see? Rude. It's so dumb. But it just cracks me up because it perfectly proves a point. But these were just fun things to do, and it's fun things to do in different medium. Like these are drawn in markers. Just little fine tip markers. This one is, again, just like an orange marker on yellow paper. This is
I love the mixed media that you use.
You got to try different stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like this one here's got markers on the two outside images, right here and right here, but the central image is drawn in pencil crayon.
That's awesome.
And then all the text is put in Photoshop. So I've really got into these landscape things now. This is the format leap that I'm making for what I'm working on in the moment.
Nice.
I'd show you what I'm actually drawing, but for some reason my overhead camera has decided, hey, I don't want to work right now. I'm not doing it. So, but this is the last page I just drew that for this haunted, it's called A Village Haunted, this series, and it's a piece that I'm going to use to solicit for just getting. I'm at the point now where I'm done with self what I don't know, how do you call it?
Self-promotion?
Self-publishing and all that. I just
Oh,
want to.
self-publishing.
I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do some work and put it in front of some representation and say, what do I do with this? And because take it beyond the regional base that I've been doing it for so long, because I'm tired of it. And it's only because I've more than capitalized on it, right? Like, it's when you do that many books and you're only selling them within 100 kilometers, it's like at a certain point you've got to realize, I know I don't want to drive any farther than that. I know I don't want to have to work out distribution. So maybe I just need to find a larger publisher or representation in order to figure that out. So it's a weird loop, but I don't know. I figure I'm at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's interesting, like getting your work, but there's a benefit of doing a lot of local stuff because you kind of can see the success. Whereas like when you're selling, all over the place, it's like it's hard to know how well it's moving. So it's like I have seen people like locally do pretty good stuff, like do pretty well with that. So
there's a cap to it though.
Yeah.
There's only so far that you can go with it, and then you've just capped out. Hey, Gary's here.
Yeah, Gary's in the chats. I enjoyed your live stream today, Gary. It was awesome. And I was mentioning this at the top, but I think you have a real gift for like interviewing people, being really insightful, asking questions and stuff like that. Yeah. We had a good live stream today that I was listening to while I was working.
I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I got to tune into that.
Yeah, it was cool. It's the same guest we had on Artcasters, that Lori Calcaterra.
The lady with the zombie book.
Yeah.
Cool.
I felt like he did a good job. Like for me, I kind of mentioned this earlier. It's like I've been in this zone lately where usually I can't talk enough, and like the last few days I've just been like chilling, getting in the zone, drawing, and haven't had tons of stuff to say. So it was interesting when I interviewed when we interviewed Lori. I was stoked to like just kind of let her take the reins and just talk about her book and stuff, because I was like I'm not on point with like with asking questions and stuff as of late. So
well, you got those sort of things wax and wane, right? Like,
oh yeah,
it's tricky. How do you go about doing that and at the same time maintaining the integrity of your productivity? We all have some degree of gift for that. When you're asking somebody questions, there's that different association when you're like, so why did you do this? And then you realize, I can't draw now because I asked something and I should be responsive to what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I don't ask questions then.
But yeah, I really enjoyed watching Gary kind of rock it though, because he was really good at like digging into some stuff that I haven't heard her talk about on other shows, and I think that was really cool. So
Gary does something I find really interesting, and I celebrate this because there's this weird thing I have about watching Gary when he's doing his show. And excuse me if this is weird, Gary, but I can tell he's doing something. Like, I know he's up to, he's working, but he's so engaging as he's talking. And he says, hey, okay. And, and he's talking, he's like me, he talks with his hands. But I know he's up, like there's something more that he's up to. And yet he makes it look really, really natural and really organic, and in how he does his podcast, getting things done. I don't think you could tell when I'm doing one or the other, but Gary just seems to be a mystery to me. So
yeah, he's a double hitter, but he's a really good communicator, and I
that's
think
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
yeah, like he's such a good communicator that I know he's working. Like, I know he's doing stuff, but that connection is so genuine that I can't tell when.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Gary, when are you working?
I think he's
We're going to
working
be squatched for
always.
a second. Yeah. But yeah, that's amazing. I didn't know that story about how you and your wife met. I didn't know you guys like worked in offices right next to each other and stuff. That's
Well,
awesome.
it was her office in my studio, and we'd both been married before. And Gary, I hope you saw that as a compliment because it was totally meant as one, by the way. I just it's easy. He makes it look so natural what he's doing. Anyhow, yeah, Lori and I were both divorced before, or we were both married before, and those situations didn't work out. And so a lot of the things that we talked about compared right?
Yeah.
And so that we were having this sort of bridging these conversations, and both of us, how do you deal with this? Because my kids are a little bit older, it's like, I don't know, put them in a pit and throw meat at them. And so, yeah, we really helped each other through those processes of why is the world so crazy? And now we've been together. Our anniversary was last week or this week.
That's awesome.
This week we just had. And so we've been together for over a decade, and it's pretty great. Kids are all good. They're all gelled and siblings, and but between us, we have 5. It's just they're 5 adults.
That's awesome that you kept them alive for that long. That's kind of after going through the like. I mean, my son's like much older now, but it's like when he was like 3, about like, let's see, I'd say from like age 0 to 3, kids are so it's a mystery that they stay that we are able to raise children as a species.
It really is. There's these wonderful little things that happen along the way that make you go, why am I doing this? This is complicated.
Yeah, and aside from the fact that like kids are just from the get-go so intent on just like trying to find things that'll kill them, and you're like, don't do that thing. It's just anyhow. So ever since like Ben, I've pretty much anytime I meet a parent who got their kid into adulthood, I'm like, congrats for keeping your kid alive. Like it's a hard thing to do.
My oldest son is high functioning autistic, right?
Yeah,
and so Sean's 27 now.
that's
and
amazing.
when I think about the journey that we've been on together, I could have 3 years of my life back if I just realized he was never going to eat those vegetables, and sitting at the table with him was pointless. Every meal is just Sean looking at the plate, looking up at me, looking at the plate, looking up at me, and I just sit there. Buddy, Dad's got a pad of paper. I'm going to be here for a while. We're good. Got to eat your veggies. Never. So when I started figuring out this, just to puree him and put him in the spaghetti sauce so Sean wouldn't know, I finally won that. It took all of that to get there.
See, that's the dad power right there.
It's the tricky thing we got to do where how do we get them to do something that they just will not do? They just refuse to do. And,
yeah.
You got to use whatever you can in your toolbox. But he was over tonight. We watched the final episode of the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings television show.
How is that show?
It's great. It's good fun. We had a great time. For the purists, there's a lot of they've compressed 300 years of the Second Age into the same time period, but so what? It's
So is it built based on the Silmarillion that they're doing it, or
Second Age? You got it.
interesting?
The Numenor stuff. Yeah, so good. I'm really enjoying it. It's not absolute in its timing. Like there's certain things that they have to sort of say, yeah, I know that, this little story elements that we've put for these kings of this magical island we've compressed 5 kings into one, but come on, who's gonna really, how can you run a show for 5 seasons where you're replacing your characters every season because everybody else is aged out? That was 100 years ago. That doesn't work.
It's also just like, those were sort of like a history book like that he was writing in prep for Lord of the Rings. So it's like the books themselves aren't super like the Lord of the Rings. To adapt that it's a lot more from point A to point B, like just honor the books and you're going to nail it. Whereas I think when you start getting into the extra Tolkien stuff, a lot of it's like notebooks, so it's to make a coherent. Anyhow, long story short, that sounds fascinating. I've finally hit that point where I just can't keep up with like 80% of what's out there right now, because there's like a bunch of Marvel stuff I want to see. There's Sandman, which I only watched 2 episodes of so far, but I absolutely adored.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun to see that adapted finally.
I was excited to see A Dream of a Thousand Cats adapted as that story specifically, to see that adapted on the show.
That's amazing.
That's the one with the little kitten and the older cat takes to see this legendary tomcat that has showed up, and she's going to talk about if how the world used to be and cats were on top and humans were our playthings, and if we can just get enough of us but then humans got together with sympathetic magic and all dreamed of them being in charge, and the entire world changed overnight.
It's such great mythology,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Gaiman's book on like Norse myths too.
Good stuff.
Yeah, like it's funny because like I remember as a younger reader like digging into some Norse mythology, and the stories themselves were interesting, but usually they're told by like a historian or a translator. And so it's like you never would get like the solid writing that you get where Gaiman's like taking on the classic Norse myths and putting his like flourish on it,
If you're
much more enjoyable reading from Gaiman is all.
If you want to see something fun and you play, if you're like me, like I'll play videos on the second monitor in my studio while I'm working.
Oh, nice.
So there's a fantastic presentation. Oh, look at that. There's a high praise. I caught up on Andor tonight, Carrie says, and chef's kiss. That's good.
Oh, nice.
That people are saying that Andor might be the best Star Wars series done. So
see, and the Star Wars nerd in me is like dying because I've been making comic pages, so it's like and the problem is if I watch like I still haven't even finished the Obi-Wan mini series thing. I
don't have Disney Plus, so I stay away from all of them just for now. For now.
That's right? Fair.
If I don't, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna just Star Wars because I own everything else up until the Disney Channel started doing these TV series. I have all the DVDs, including the Christmas special, including the Ewoks movies and all that tragic because I'm an old nerd. But can't do it. I got to stay away from it just for the moment and get some things done.
Yeah,
and then I'll give myself those moments. So just because there's so much good stuff to watch. Really excited about 1899 that's about to come out.
Oh, what's 1899?
It's by the couple that did Dark. Have you seen the series Dark?
I haven't. What is Dark?
It's German. It is bar none, and this is okay. Here we go. All right, I'm ready. Ready?
Yeah.
Even Gary says at least for his money, best Star Wars series by far and better than most of the movies.
Nice.
Yeah, I hear really good things about Andor.
I really like Rogue One quite a lot, so I could imagine, it's going to be pretty good.
It's a really good Vietnam movie.
It pretty much is, yeah.
Okay, what was I going to say? Okay, here comes fighting words. Ready? Dark. It's on Netflix. It's German. And it is, without a doubt, for the genre that it is. And I don't want to say what it is, because if I do, it's going to spoil it. But you'll know in the first episode when you watch it. And this is a terrible way to promote something. It is the best example in this oversaturated genre that I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
It's 3 seasons. And it has, I can't even say, it's got multiple actors playing the same characters. It just travels, throughout this lineage, and it's 3 seasons done by the same husband and wife writing and directing team.
Huh.
And you don't realize when a season's ended and the next one started, because the transitions are so pure. And it's the same vision and the same cinematography and the same creative direction throughout. Dark. D-A-R-K.
Okay.
It's a mind blower. Very few things do I feel that strongly about. It's like Westworld season 1 good.
Oh.
Like it's, and Westworld season 1, because the rest of it, but that and Trapped, that's Icelandic. It's an Icelandic cop show. But yeah, Dark is so good. And so that couple that did this 3-season show, 3 seasons and done. It's done. Perfect ending. There's nowhere more you can take that story. And so now they got a new show coming out in November, just before my birthday.
Oh, nice.
And it's completely different. It's a mystery show set on a boat about a bunch of people leaving Europe to come to the new country, and the opportunities there, and something goes wrong.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
So I'm looking forward to that. And guess when it takes place? It's $18.99. Yeah. Such a dumb joke.
That was a good joke. I appreciate it. That was pure dad joke.
That was patronizing.
I believe you mean patronizing. I'm going to steal that joke now. That is a great joke.
Gary, did you hear our patronizing bit before?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If not, this is a great opportunity for Josh to try it out on you.
Oh yeah, Gary, by the way, you're more than welcome to join, but I'm assuming you're probably working on some stuff that, is more like off-stream, high-focus stuff. But if you want to hop on, I'll send you a link. I'm going to be going for probably another hour. Let's see here.
He says, no, I missed it. Oh, this is a prime opportunity for... I guess you need somebody else to get in to engage in that joke for it to work, though.
Yeah, well, we could act it out. You can...
Put on my theater hat.
All right, I think you should tell him the joke.
Oh, I was going to get you to do it.
Oh. What is that word? Okay, I'm going to try to do it, but this is going to show that I don't have exquisite memory.
Gary's going to pop it in. You can do it with Gary.
Oh, cool. Let me see here. All right, let's see. Okay, Gary, I've sent you a link in the on Facebook in Messenger. Yeah, that's a good joke. We'll
joke.
Yeah, if only I could remember it. Yeah.
I did stand up I did a stand-up competition here in Canada.
Oh, nice. How did it go? I've heard it's like brutal sometimes. If
I came in fifth.
Oh, really?
It was 63. It was 63 people. And,
That's not bad.
No, but it's a weird life. It's a weird scene, you know. And it's like maybe this scene's not for me type thing. And it was something I was doing after I got divorced, and I just needed to just get out of my comfort. You know, just challenge the new me. Let's try this. I always wanted to do something like this, and so, but I would always do. My sort of approach to things is an observational way of looking at stuff, and because I'm so highly associative. The first time I came out, I talked about how I've had the most successful adult relationship in my life for the last year, and it's been working out really great. I mean, there's some communication challenges. Like I don't speak her language; it's largely in vowels. But every time I come home, I open the door and there she is looking up at me, and she's got these big green eyes, and so I spent 5 minutes describing my cat. I'm living with my cat, but never saying it's my cat. I mean, our relationship is non-physical. It's physical, but it's mostly just, I like give back rub, scratch back of her neck, but there's physical differences like the tail, and I'm very tall and she's not. Like, it's just stupid things, and that went over pretty well. But it's it's a different like I said, I can't remember jokes, right? And so there was these really lame hecklers in the front row, and it's just drunk party girls out. And so the guy before me was doing this whole thing about you can never hit on a girl in a group because there's always that stupid drunk girl in their group that's going to blow everybody else's chances because she's so unhappy. And he alienated this whole row of like 14 girls, like just because that's who they are. They're this drunk sorority club out or something, right? And so the one girl is just getting worse with every set. Like every other comic comes out this night, and they're just. And at one point, so I say, well, I mean, clearly I'm talking about living with a cat, right? In the audience, because it's a suspension, and then I'm living with, clearly I live with a cat, and it just drops out, and the whole audience cracks up. And this one girl in the front row goes, "Oh my God, I knew he was talking about a cat." She guessed 5 different things in the course of my set. Just blurted out, Is she blonde? Is she East Indian? Like, she was so awkward. And then when I said I'm talking about my cat, she's like, "I knew that.
I knew it totally."
In this guy's set that he did earlier, it's like if you're going to pick up a girl in a big group of people, look for the drunkest one. And so there's this part of me that just, and this is why I'm like, I can't be in this comic world because they make you nasty. Because as soon as she goes, "I knew that," I said, "Did you know that?" I looked at her front row. "Did you know that?" And she was, "Yeah." And I went, "I think somebody was looking for you earlier." It's like, and the audience blows up again. And I went backstage really not feeling good about myself. Because I thought, that was me, that poor girl. She doesn't know she's drunk and dumb. And
that's so funny. I just like would be nervous about it. I think it's a different thing to be like funny on command,
Well, I just talked, and I didn't prepare anything. I didn't write anything in advance. I just came out and just, the first thing that always happens for me is that as soon as I walk up on the stage, and here's the microphone stand, and I got to do this, and just a second, and I got to raise the microphone stand so that it's remotely close to my face because I'm 6.5 feet tall.
That's right. If the stand will reach, basically.
And I've always got to follow somebody who's like 5'5". So it's, people are laughing already because, "Oh, tall guy's too tall for the microphone. They're stupid." Because let's be honest, they ply comedy crowds with lots of alcohol.
Oh yeah.
But as soon as you can get over that, excuse me, that initial unnerving, oh, I got to go and stand in front of people. But
Yeah.
the truth is, as soon as you're on stage, you can't see anything. The lights are too bright.
Yeah, that's the other like it is interesting because I do have a side of me that, you know, can play rock and roll in front of a group of people, you know, but then like and not feel weird or nervous. Like you feel nervous before you get up on stage, but the second you start playing, it's like it's fun, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a whole different thing if you don't have a guitar to hide behind and you're just like literally on stage. I don't know. I'm like most people, that terrifies the hell out of me. But I'm fascinated by comedy and the structure of it. So but I'm not one of those people who like assumes because I'm fascinated I'd be good at it. You know, I think I'd be awful.
Well, I mean, it's that niche thing, though, right? Like, there's the other people that they can tell jokes and stuff like that, but they think they can play music, but that there's not a chance they should ever go on stage and do that because as good as their rendition of Sunglasses at Night by Corey Hart is, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to sell on stage.
So that would be a great song to cover for sure. Okay, I have to disappear for a second because we're at the hour mark. So,
Nope.
Do you want me to play a video or do you want to just plug some stuff?
Oh, yeah, play a video, buddy.
Okay, so I'm going to put on.
He's coming to join us in a sec. I think he said he was going to hop in, so that'll be
Yeah,
good.
Gary, if you're still trying to find it, I sent you a link on Facebook. And okay, so we'll put on the clip and hopefully maybe. Oh, we have a Gary Hodges.
Way all right.
Okay, Gary. I think. Okay, Chris. While I'm gone, run the bit with Gary. He needs to know the bit if you can remember it though.
Patronizing thing.
It's a terrible joke, Gary.
Okay.
Absolutely horrible, but it works. And it works if you reference the fact that I don't know many jokes and the one that I do know is terrible. But how does it go? Let's see if I can remember any of it. Okay, what's the word? It sounds like you're talking down to somebody, like you're being really rude to them, and just an explanative. Starts with a P.
Are you asking me to actually say it as part of it? Patronizing?
I think you mean patronizing. There's no way to win in this joke because.
Right. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And I can't remember jokes. I really honestly can't remember jokes. But there's no way that the other person can win in that joke. And it's harmless.
Yeah. No matter what they say, you just go, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's a Jimmy Carr joke. And he does it on an entire audience of people. And he says, it's all about the level of sophistication that your audience might have. And you have to look through the crowd and try to take the temperature of who you've got in front of you. Like you, dear, what is it when somebody talks down to you? How does that make you feel? Like, what do they call it? Starts with a P. And she goes, patronizing? And he goes, I think you mean patronizing. The whole body just drops, right? But his character, his persona on stage is arrogant. So.
That's a nice touch. I think you mean. Like that adds like an extra level of asshole to it. Like I don't know if there's ever a good way to say I think you mean, unless you're talking to a small child. So yeah.
So good.
Parents are so condescending to their own kids, and they have
yeah.
And you can always there's always this sort of fun thing. If you're ever at a cafe, like at a public cafe, and there's a single mom who's pushed in her newborn baby in a stroller, she's got her and her 3-year-old little guy, or maybe it's just a 3-year-old little guy, and she's kind of having this conversation with your kid because she might forget the fact that I'm at home X amount of time with just my kid, so this normal, I'm asking him questions that entirely superfluous, like I know what he's going to gurgle at me. It's just me asking questions to feel like I'm engaging with another human in my day. But they don't realize they're doing it out. Like they don't realize when they're out in public and they're doing it. It's one of my favorite things to watch. But whenever the kid will engage, there's this weird thing where many of those parents just become the most patronizing parents I've ever seen to their own children with love. They don't even realize they're doing it. No, honey, that's not how you hold that. Is
Right.
how you hold that? And the kids, the best.
It's like the eternal war between the parent and the child right there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it.
No. How come? Because no.
Because I said.
I have tried really hard to be a parent who doesn't do the "because I said so" thing. Because I don't know. I like to be able to explain, but there are points where you've explained, and then you just have to pull the card, and you're like, "I'm a dad now. This is
Right.
terrible." Because I've definitely had those times where I explain, and then he's still like, I don't know, wanting to not do his homework or something, and I'm finally like, just like, yeah, well, okay, look, you need to do your homework, or like bad things are gonna happen.
I slipped off that iceberg really fast because, especially with Sean, I could say, eat your peas, eat your vegetables. And he was never going to do that because his autism had locked in, I don't eat vegetables or whatever it was, right? And so I wasted all this time just trying to wait him out. And you can never wait out a kid that's just bound and determined like that.
No.
But then there was, I'm known with my kids and my grandkids. I'm absolutely known in my family for the opposite of it. It's not the because I said so. It's the outlandish malarkey that flies out of my mouth about what will happen if you don't do this thing. The absolute dilemma in our existing reality that you're going to cause because you've decided not to change your clothes for bed. And the kids all know it. So there's a certain point where I've broken every one of the kids and every one of my grandkids will eventually go, fine, I'm just going to get changed. Like, it's just, I could break them. I can outlast them with baloney. And it's a horrible skill.
One of my favorite stories, like Corey Kerr had this trick with his daughter for like the longest time. He's talked about this on stream before too, so I don't mind sharing it. But it's like his daughter would be like, "What'll happen if I don't do this?" And he'll be like, "The worst thing you can imagine." And she'd like go, "You're not going to take my stuffed animal over there." And he'd be like, "Exactly what I'm going to do." So he would do that, and she would tell him the thing that she didn't want him to do. And he'd be like, "Perfect. This is like he said it worked for like, I think 2 years. And then one day she was just like, "Fine, take that." And he's like,
she wins.
He's like, "Oh no, this game is not working anymore." And then eventually, I guess she caught on and stopped telling him the thing she didn't want him to like, because he's like, "I'm going to take a toy that's like the one you just wouldn't want me to take." And then they'd be like, "Not that toy." I just thought that was a funny one.
Everybody's got that certain thing they can lean into. My friend's mother did this. She's this Russian German lady, and she'd say, if you make me come into that room, and it was just this, right down the barrel of the guns, right? And she goes, "If you make me come into that room," and just nodding. We did whatever she wanted. Didn't matter what it was. Didn't matter.
That's the power. That is the power right there. So Gary, I enjoyed your stream today.
Oh, thank you.
I really did.
Yeah, I appreciated both your comments about it. So.
Yeah.
Or about when I talk to people. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're insightful. It was good questions and stuff like that. Lori's pretty cool too. I appreciate the tip to have her on.
Hold on just 1 second. Mary just got home.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so
I was having a hard time in Artcasters though, because as she's telling so much about her books, I'm like, I looked at the images of it and I'm like, I kind of like this. Can I watch? She keeps telling things. I want to read the books.
Yeah. I did end up backing her Kickstarter, so like I'm kind of curious to read it. I kind of also assumed because Gary liked it that it would be, a good book, but
There you go.
don't tell him that when he gets back. I'll kind of go the opposite on that. Be like, when Gary recommended it, I instantly was like, why did I back this?
Oh, if Gary says so. I don't know.
But yeah, it was a good pitch. I'm always amazed by people who can pitch their work really effectively.
I see. The challenging thing I've had, especially in the purview of when people would come to me with their shorts or their books and talk about being published with the comic company. I need to see something of the pitch. Like I need to see something more than just selling the story. Like have you written it down? Okay, but it's 5 books long, right? Yeah, but have you written it down? Not yet, but don't tell me another thing. Like, I don't want to hear your pitch anymore.
Well, if they haven't written it, yeah, that's
do it. But then the ones that have done it, and yeah, it's all done. Well, then stop telling me about it. Just let me see it, But yeah, she's really good at explaining her work.
I caught the tail end of that. I'm sorry, I'm back.
No worries.
What was that?
I get all anxious when a pitch is like her pitch, like Josh is saying, her pitch is really good on her book. And
she can talk about her books for sure. Like yeah. She's a good front person for it. So,
but my thing is always I like to read things, whole cloth, right? And so when a pitch is too good, I'm like, I can't watch this. I got to turn it off because I want to see the thing. I want to read the thing. And so the comic company my wife and I started in 2015. We've put out 69 books, right? And a lot of those books are anthologies and short stories and things like that. And so when people will come up to pitch, there's this part of me that says, have you done it?
Yeah.
No, I've done it. Then I don't want to talk to you, right?
Yeah.
Do it and then talk to me. But the ones that have done, I'm like, stop telling me. Let me read it.
Just give it to me. Yeah. No, I'm actually very much the same way.
Yeah, you need to be.
I'm just awful at pitching. I'm notoriously bad at pitching. Like to the point where I have friends who are like, have booths with me and been like, why would you pitch it that way? And I'm like, I thought that would work. The last time I boothed with Chris Caligua, he was like, he gave me a couple tips. He was like, just talk about the stuff you actually wrote. Like, you don't have to like summarize it too much, And I was like, oh, because I usually am just like, well, it's a very depressing book. And I even caught myself doing that on Artcasters like yesterday. I said something like, this is a book that'll bum you out or something. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not a good pitch. Like,
that's not a winning pitch. No.
Yeah. And I mean, it is, but it's like an artistic book that'll make you get the feels,
You know what? Actually, and it wouldn't not work for me. To me, the funny, and I say this out of love, Corey, if you're watching. To me, one of the most unenthusiastic pitchers I know is Corey Kerr. Like sometimes it's almost funny when he'll like be on Artcasters. It's like you're going around and he'll be like, "Yeah, so if you're interested in some stuff about how all the world's gonna end, you can go to my webpage." And that's it. Like that's all he'll say, and it's like, wow. Let's look at that web traffic. Just shoot through the roof. Yeah, I mean, but he's so like not interested. Like, he's obviously not overly concerned about it, so it's fine. But it's kind of funny. It's hilariously unenthusiastic sometimes.
It's like that intelligentsia part of him just sort of kicks in, and he looks things as this sort of academic exercise, and he's well, when you look at it like that, it's like this. So I've done something that's
Well, and
paraphrasing nonsense, but
I don't
yeah.
know him that well, but my impression of him, Josh, you'd be a better person to say whether this is accurate or not. I think he's completely incapable of being inauthentic.
Yes.
You know, it's just like, and if he's not feeling it, if he feels like he has to kind of put on sales persona, like it's just not going to happen. It's, you know,
yeah, authenticity is a big thing for Corey, and it's interesting because I will say I think he's capable because he teaches communication, you know, like in communications. So it's like he can do the PR thing. I think he just hates doing the PR thing.
Yeah.
And I relate to that a lot because it's something I'm weak at for sure.
Arguably, you say that all of us, to some extent, are the PR thing is at best a thing we have to do.
Yeah.
Like it's the thing that we're all, hey, I love the PR part. Also, I write and draw comics. You know, it's no, of course it's the other way around, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it's always
rather what they do is terrible. I don't mean to be so grossly dismissive, but whenever I find somebody comes up and goes, hey, how you doing? I got the greatest thing that's going to change your life. And you're like, what do you got? It's an idea. Okay. Get away from me.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, I'm always very, I mean, and you see them in all these, you see them everywhere. Yeah, these people who, boy, they can talk a good game and they're super enthusiastic and they just pitch. And there's not a lot to back it up, but
yeah, it's a challenge, right?
So there's that unicorn, I guess, where every once in a while, like you'll come across a person who can pitch and has done it, like has done the work, and that's always amazing. And I'm always very envious because I'm like, man, I would kill for that skill.
Yeah.
I'm kind of. I think like most artists, it's like, you know, when you're pitching something that's really near and dear to your heart, the temptation, which is a horrible pitch, is just to be like, it's a good book, you should read it. You know, like I put a lot of thought into this. All the thought is in the book, you know?
Well, that's it, right? Like you're saying things, you're expressing yourself in your act of creativity because let's be honest, that's maybe to some extent your preferred form of expression.
Yeah. Right. So it's like this unnatural thing that we have to pitch it, you know?
Yeah.
Just look at it, you know.
Just read the book. Which again, if I'm watching that doesn't work on me. Like I have to admit, a good pitch with somebody who did the work, like that works for me, you know?
Sure. Did you ever see Jack Kirby talk about his work? Did you ever see any old interviews of Jack? There's a couple of great ones at New York comic stores.
I don't know if I have actually. Have you, Gary?
No, I don't think so. I actually don't know if I've ever seen video of him.
There's a great interview of Jack Kirby who's doing a signing at a New York comic shop. And somebody asked him, and I can't remember the specific cited example, but it's basically something related to New Gods. Like it's like the Forever People.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from, Jack? Like, how did you create that? And he goes, well, you know, the youth were really questioning the values and morals in society, and during Vietnam, and there's a lot of psychedelia going on. So I thought, well, let's look into those.
That's a great pitch.
And read the book. And it really has that attitude of, well, it's all there on paper.
Yeah.
Whereas you see Stan, and Stan is like the polar opposite, where somebody is like, hey, we're making the movie poster for this Captain America movie. You wanna, we're gonna put created and drawn by Stan Lee. Is that cool? And Stan's just like, yeah, Captain America. I drew him. I created him. I created the entire thing. I drew him too. Yeah, sure. Whatever you say. Like, anyhow, sorry.
Stan was so terrible for that when Jack took over a couple of issues, he took over a couple of issues of scripting as well as well, because Jack would, hey, Stan would say, hey, Jack, do a thing where they're the Fantastic Four are being threatened by some sort of bug guy from another dimension. Okay, give me some pages for that next week. And Jack would go home and do the whole issue of Annihilus, right? And come back, and he'd have penciled notes inside the gutters of everything for this sort of loose thing, and Stan would take it and put all kinds of alliteration on it, and he'd make it zing and pop, and, all kinds of
Excelsior.
Right? And but Jack at one point said, "Look, let me do a couple of books, right?" And so in the month before those 2 books are going to come out, he started with the solicitations, and then he does it at the start of the story. He says, "Bear with us, noble readers, as Jack gives a good old college try at writing." Like, it's like this really sort of dismissive, demeaning, and I'm like, I don't know. Really?
I mean, I think Stan Lee's one of the reasons Marvel Comics was really successful, but
Sure.
it's
he.
The more I find out about him, though, like, the more I'm like, I kind of missed the era of reading Spider-Man, and even as a kid, he was so effective at it. When I was really little, I didn't pay attention to the artists who were doing Spider-Man. That was my favorite book. I thought Stan Lee did it all. I just thought he
Wanted
did
you
it
to,
all.
right?
Yeah.
So I had a really, really fortunate situation recently, in that because I'm the art director guy for the London Comic Con here, Jim Shooter was our guest this year, and so
you mentioned that on stream, yeah.
So I was afforded the opportunity to interview him on stage, and so I started the interview by reading a quick something that I'd wrote. It's like a page long, just detailing what this guy's been up to in his life, in his career, starting at the age of 13, where he submitted 6 scripts to Mort Weisinger, and it took about 6 months, and Mort got back to him and called him at his house, and he answers the phone, and he gets hired by DC Comics at 14 years old, right, for Red Legion of Superheroes. And then, it goes into the whole thing about when they find out how old he is, because, like me, he's a tall guy, and you get a deeper voice as a tall guy, and so when this 6'2", 14-year-old answers the phone, they think he's an adult, right? And let's be honest, the stories were more simplistic back then, but it's still good stories. But when this person answers the phone, hello, Jim Shooter, right? You think, well, he's got to be an adult. They figured that he was probably 18, 19 years old, because they knew he was young. They didn't know how young he was. And so when he went to New York, I'm off track for a second here, but when he went to New York, Mort Weisinger had him meet him at the hotel with his mom. As soon as they found out how old he was, they said, "Put your mom on the phone." And he set up for him and his mom to come to New York to a hotel. And when they're in the hotel room, and Weisinger shows up at the hotel, and when the door opens up, and Weisinger looks at the chest of Jim Shooter, because he's my height, right? So, but he's an inch tall. He's 6'7".
Oh, wow!
So Weisinger looks at his chest and looks up at him and goes, "All right, you can come to the office," because people might not realize how young he is because he's the size he is. So that's how he started working and learning at DC. Is he would go after school. After he was done at high school, he would go into the offices. But
it's so crazy, the talent, Sorry, go ahead.
Definitely a different time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole thing I talked about in this one-page writ was just his career, the fact he did the first licensed character comic, the fact he set up the new universe and changed like when he started as the editor at Marvel, he was editing 45 books a month, right? And then when he started as the editor-in-chief, they had 42 books that were supposed to be coming out, and he only received 26 because all of the artists and writers were that late on all of the projects.
Wow.
And yet, back in those days, you had to prepay the printers for all of the slated books to be coming out. Okay? And if you only get 26 of them and you're missing this big blank space here, you're paying anyways.
Ooh.
And then you're going to pay again when they're actually printed. And so
because they're not holding them. Yeah.
Yeah. So when he came in, he had to deal with things like that. So there's all these fantastic stories. And quite honestly, I mean, he's pretty much responsible for the direct market because Marvel was the first company that really said, yeah, we're going to do books specifically for the direct market. The first one was Dazzler #1. Start strong, but it's a roller skating disco singer. Yeah, that's okay. She's
Dazzler. I almost want to collect that. That just sounds
How have
hilarious.
they not done it? Of all the weird Marvel series they're doing, how have they not done Dazzler yet? I mean,
They not really brought her back, right?
I mean, they're really missing their gems.
I mean, just because it's so off the wall and fun and weird, you would think somebody would be dying. I mean, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but not that this would ever happen. But if Marvel came to me, it's like, we want you to do a series. What would you want to do? I'd say, fucking Dazzler.
Yeah.
Like, just because it's so out of nowhere, and you've got everything else covered. Like,
there's no threat. It's kind of like choosing a mediocre logo to redesign.
Yeah,
it's way better than here's the Nike logo, do it better.
And I bet there are Dazzler fans out there that would just be delighted someone's paying attention to Dazzler. I think it's an audience that's waiting to be served. So it's
yeah.
Do you remember when we did a Beauty and the Beast adaptation using Dazzler and Beast from the X-Men?
No.
Beautiful Bill Sienkiewicz covers.
That's a funny idea, though.
It was a real thing.
I totally missed that. No.
Yeah, you gotta look it up. It's basically Beauty and the Beast, but starring X-Men characters that are trying to find some sort of sense of self, and she's only seen as a superficial person, and he's never seen for who he really is inside as a genius, a scientist, because they just see the Beast exterior. That's a Shooter era book, no less. But she used to get far more cred than she does now. So, but yeah, you have to see that. If you want to see something outlandish where Marvel capitalizes on some of the zaniest stuff that they've ever had, look up Next Wave.
Next Wave.
It's Warren Ellis and Stuart Immonen. And it stars, the team is Machine Man, Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel. He keeps talking about her time in the Avengers, and her team goes, "We know, right?" Machine Aaron Stack, who is always talking about the fleshy humans on my team, and he's just so dismissive of organic people. Elsa Bloodstone, the daughter of the Bloodstone character from the big blonde, burly Scandinavian guy with the little red ruby necklace.
Would that be the same character that was just in the Werewolf by Night show?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay.
And then who do we got? Oh, Boom Boom from the X-Force. Just so random, and she's completely Valley Girl, by the way. And then Captain Shit.
Captain Shit.
It's this uniquely created guy who's got a star symbol. He wears a star T-shirt, it's just a green shirt with a yellow star on it.
Yeah.
And he's from Brooklyn. He talks like a Brooklyner. But he's basically he can fly. He can punch through this. He's largely indestructible. He's incredibly strong, but he's a Brooklyn bozo, right?
Yeah.
And when he met Captain America once, how'd that go? I told him my code name, and he slapped the crap out of me for 10 minutes. But there's an episode where Aaron Stack versus Machine Man versus Fin Fang Foom, a giant green dragon of Marvel Comics.
That's right, from Shang-Chi.
Yeah, and underneath it says on this fight bill that the cover was, I have machine parts. It says underneath Aaron Stack. And underneath Fin Fang Foom it says, I wear purple underpants. The book it's got Forbush Man, the guy with the pot on his head from all of the Marvel zany comedy stuff in the 70s. You know that guy? Not Brian Eck and all that?
I
It's
don't.
a dude. And then it's got MODOK.
MODOK, yeah.
Blue Boy and Devil Dinosaur.
Boy, they put together
the stupidest things they could and said, let's make a comic. And then they did it. They went for it. It was fantastic.
That's amazing. So what was that called again?
Next Wave. Hold on a second.
Wait, I'm going to write that down.
That sounds...
I figure now, especially like with She-Hulk, they've opened the door to this kind of goofier stuff. So, like, why not?
Yeah, I still haven't seen She-Hulk. I'm so behind on everything because
I'm not caught up on. I think I've seen like the first 3 episodes of She-Hulk, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't stay with it. Too busy.
This is the book. Next Wave, Agents of Hate. Hate is some paramilitary organization similar to S.H.I.E.L.D., but the guy who runs it, Dick Anger.
Dick Anger.
He's constantly chiding his people because he can't get good people to work for him. But Next Wave was signed on. Like, look at some of this ridiculous. Deploy the etheric loop recall televocometer. Can you see what it is? It's a giant old-fashioned
handset, like a receiver on a phone.
That lowers over his head.
That's amazing.
So that he can call out of the ship. Like, but there's this genius thing that happens in where one issue, okay, is just gatefold art, and every page, see if I can do this in any way that makes any congruent sense, as they fight through all of the absolutely absurd forces that are on this ship, it just goes from double page spread to double, I'm not doing it any justice, double page spread to double page spread to double page spread.
Wow.
Of fighting through the whole thing. And it's got like this right here, that's Captain Ship.
Nice.
Fin Fang Foom goes to squash him, he pulls his thumbnail off, and so it shoves him in his pants. Like it's so dumb, but it's phenomenally genius. But anyway, Stuart Immonen draws an entire book where it's these double page spreads, and it's got the Living Colossus. Like, these are all 1950s Marvel monsters that they're fighting.
That they just dug up for this.
Just throw them in. Like, there's a whole bunch of baby MODOKs that they gotta fight. There's this is the Princess, or there's Professor Xavier in combat wheelchairs. There's just never-ending amounts of stupid Brontosaurus with Cyclops eye visors on. It's
like they just got a bunch of teenagers to like come up with. That's great. That's great.
That sounds incredible, actually.
Yeah,
it's absolutely absurd.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think I have to look that up.
Yeah,
this is their marketing on the covers. This one says, let me see if I can get in camera and see it at the same time. It says, "I kick your face. Advance tickets sold in all music shops and ticket agents. We're healing America one face at a time." And it's got a picture of Captain America just to sell it. Nothing to do.
Just to have, he's nowhere in it. It's just,
It's just so over the top. If there's a book that I can recommend that does exactly what you want, Gary, it might be this.
I'm checking it out.
That's kind of rad. That sounds very much like what I would do if I were given license on a Marvel title. I would probably pick something really obscure.
Absolutely.
Well, that's like the thing about growing up reading comics in the 70s and 80s was like some of the stuff that was coming out was on point for that. They made fun of themselves. They were self-deprecating to a degree that you just will not see anymore. And they would do stuff where they'd have a bunch of the Marvel superheroes gathered together for a picnic in one of their comics, like Not Brain Deck or whatever it is, and somebody would be toasting marshmallows over Ghost Rider's head. It like just in the back of the panel, you know what I mean? As all these other characters are sort of standing there staring at the Invisible Woman, and she's like, clearly feeling really awkward and exposed. Back there in the panel, there's somebody roasting marshmallows on Ghost Rider's head. No deeper resonance to it, no deeper meaning.
Right.
That's pretty fun, though.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like if you're doing superheroes, you have like two routes you can go. You can go like super serious and like, world build and stuff like that. Or you can go a little more self-aware and kind of fun,
Yeah.
I like the middle of the line of that, though. Like, do you ever read Martial Law?
No.
So Martial Law.
I'm loving hearing about this stuff, though. So tell us.
You're looking at a treasure trove of pointless information in comic book history.
I love it.
Those people that you can show some obscure random thing like Omega, and I go, "Oh, that was a good book." And they were like, "You read this? It's a super powered hippie with a sonic scream. This is dumb." I'm like, "That's Marvel in the '70s." Real character, by the way, Omega the Unknown. They keep trying to validate him by making him somehow cool, but he was written high. So, what was I talking about? Martial Law.
Yeah.
The creators of Judge Dredd were looking at the two things. They were looking at fascistic, fascistic armies like the Italian army or the German army, and the German army's very clear stylistic fetish that they have for jackboots and black tight cut clothing, and all of it, of course, because it's made by Hugo Boss. But and then they look at American patriotism and America authoritarianism, and they mesh the two together and look and hyper attenuate the thesis that they have about if we're in a dystopian state where it's absolute control by government, this is the sort of representatives you're going to have of government running around, one man jury executioners, right?
Right.
With giant metal eagle on their shoulder with a chain and all that sort of fascistic stuff and jackboots and I'm the law. You don't ever see their face, and they're not a person, they're a judge. And okay, so that's incredibly sarcastic and sardonic material that just absolutely looks at British society through this as though it was filtered through this tyrannical corporate America lens. You get caught jaywalking, a judge has you thrown into an isolation cube for 2 weeks to cure you of your misdemeanor. An isolation cube is a 3 foot by 3 foot perplex clear plastic electrified cube that you have to sit in for 3 weeks. That's an ISO cube.
Yeah.
So you come out crazy because you sleep for 3 weeks. You're completely exposed in a 3 foot box, right? How do you come out sane? So you go in for jaywalking, you come out a lunatic. So that's why
total lunatic. Yeah.
So the city keeps getting worse and worse and worse. That wasn't extreme enough for Pat Mills.
Right. Right.
Pat Mills comes out with Martial Law, which is a pastiche of Judge Dredd.
That's fine. Well, as soon as you started talking about Judge Dredd, I was like, oh, martial law. Okay, all right, yeah.
Judge Dredd, martial law, and the thing with martial law is, in the context of a superhero universe, you don't want to live there.
Yeah.
That's the most insane place you could be arbitrarily killed before you even wake up out of bed in the morning. There's just no rhyme or reason for the giant monster foot that's squashing your building, right? And so contextually, you don't want to live in Marvel or DC. You just don't.
No, it'd be horrible. No.
So martial laws, he was created by the government. He's there to bring in superheroes that are out of control. And they're all out of control, right? The best one is where martial law, I think it's called, I don't know if it's Fear and Loathing or if it's, because it was a whole bunch of little prestige one-shots or a limited series. But one of them, he goes into an insane asylum for superheroes. And it's the funniest list of stupid superhero jokes you've ever seen. Like Richards is always, he's sitting there like this, but of course his arm is drooping in that, big elbow thing, like just sagging for no reason here as he's trying to sip a cup of tea, and his other arm is in this sort of little wonderful S as it drapes 3 feet along the floor behind the chair he's sitting in. I was just telling my wife, darling, wouldn't it be interesting to have so-and-so over for tea? And there's a guy going, and he's supposed to be Doctor Strange, and he's drooling, and he thinks he's seeing other dimensions. Like, there's no one in that chair, by the way. She signed him up. She put him in the asylum. He's just crazy, Reed Richards. And thinks that his wife, the Invisible Woman, is right there beside him. But they're loving. And there's even a comment in there at some point about, while we're on this subject, I don't think that you've been putting enough effort into our lovemaking. It feels like I'm by myself here. She's not there.
Right.
Namer's a fish guy who's just sitting there going, just blowing bubbles. Like, it's all, as he goes through this insane asylum that contains all of these superheroes, who may or may not be superheroes, but just either people with powers that are just wacko.
Just totally lost it.
or delusions of grandeur, right? Like, once I get my hammer back, I'll pound a hole through this wall and we will all escape, my brothers. Like, and it just goes on. But martial law's his entire ideology in the world is that he's going to fix all these monsters that have destroyed society. He's completely hypocritical to the fact that he's basically a genetically engineered super soldier himself. That he is ostensibly a super character, but he's going to cure society of this disease, and he doesn't care if they're good guys or bad guys. If you got powers, he's going to kill you. He's got like an arm wrapped in barbed wire. It's such an extreme, stupid character. And it's all about the fetishism of it all and the power fantasy of it all. And yeah, if you're looking for a case of extreme examples for comics, that's one there.
I'm adding that one to the list too.
Yeah, this has been fun. Like, hearing, I'm enjoying learning. I just it's dawning on me that your experience, managing that giant comic shop probably gave you a massive amount of understanding of like different comics history and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. You by just bear in mind, I've worked in this industry for 25 years, and honestly, the amount of people that work in comic stores that know nothing about comics is terrifyingly bad. It's really an unfortunate truth that when you go into stores, and we had a guy at the store that I was at, and he always seemed like he didn't know what you were talking about, and he had a fair understanding. But you go, "Can you tell me what the Batman books are?" And you go, "Batman, okay, yeah, okay, I know. Follow me." but it always looked like he didn't know. It's just the worst. This is the kind of what Batman is, you know. But yeah, you get exposed to all kinds of stuff, and if you just take a chance, you'd be amazed at things you want. So much so that my interest in comics, while they're wildly diverse, I tend to lean towards independent stuff that has a serious application to it. Like I'm really done with fart jokes, like fart books, you know, where the whole thing is just something dumb. Like it's just a dumb book.
Yeah.
You know, it's an important thing in the indie world is that we got so many people like this could be the funniest book. It's not. It's just you and your friends find it funny.
Yeah.
But I really like European material, like European comics a lot.
Yeah.
And to the extent that North American creators, like the Dodsons, Jerry and Rachel Dodson, just did this.
I don't know though.
It's exploring all of the Pulp Syndication, sci-fi, Flash Gordon-esque history and like it's referring back to all those types of characters in the 1920s. And like look at the first Adventure Man.
That's awesome.
Everything in after, you know.
What does the art look like?
Well, it's Terry Dodson.
Oh, nice.
So it's just gorgeous work. And then when he gets into this is where the big sell is. Hold on a second. When he gets in, like this is, try to stand that far enough that you can see it. There's how you introduce a whole bunch of characters.
Wow.
Right? Really gorgeous work. He's a penciler, his wife's the inker, and they co-write it with Matt Fraction.
And what is that one called again? Adventure something? What is it?
Adventure Man.
Adventure Man.
And if you enjoy this work, the couple has also done Red One and The Muse.
Nice.
But,
I feel like I'm learning so much.
Yeah, I know. This is good.
And this just came out too. Junkyard Joe.
What is Junkyard Joe?
It's G.I. Robot from the 70s.
What?
In the 1970s, there was a thing called Weird War Tales that was done by DC. And it was one of those things that Kubert said, why don't we have one of the World War soldiers be a robot? Right? In that Joe Kubert way of, it's a robot soldier. Right? Or how about we have one of the Allied soldiers they find a Viking and they thaw him out and he joins up with the Allies. What do you think of that? You know, that Joe Kubert way of describing things, like, yeah, of course, Joe White Army. You know, and Sergeant Rock meets him. Yeah, the boys. Right? Or and these are all real things, and they're called Real War Tales, or like the Haunted Tank, and this guy Jebediah and his ancestor who was General Lee or something like that, and this ghost has possessed a tank, and so here's this Civil War general, yoo-hoo, as he's riding as a ghost alongside this tank that his descendant is driving in World War II. Why don't we do that as a comic?
I
not.
love that, actually. I love the idea of a ghost tank.
176 issues.
107? They did 176 issues of that?
Of that, G.I. Robot, Viking Commando, the Losers. It's just 4 different guys from the 4 different branches of the army as a team. And
amazing.
These missions that they're sure to die on because they're losers. But they always succeed at them, right? And then one of them has a dog. But so Jeff Johns and Gary Frank took the old notion of G.I. Robot and they did this Image comic. And it's so gorgeous. They put it out in black and white and in color.
Oh, cool.
Like that's the level of like Michael Golden's Nom book that he did with Larry Hama.
Oh, I loved that. I have. I don't think I have the complete run, but I have a huge chunk of Nom.
Look at those inks, guys.
That's beautiful.
That's rad. I wish that was done more often because I like black and white so much.
See, and I gotta grab that. That's at the top of the list of these ones you've named because the next comic I'm doing is going to be Soldiers in a Forest, and that might give me some inspiration. But...
Well, if you're really looking for black and white work for jungles, you got to look at Al Williamson, right?
Yeah, Al Williamson is one of my all-time, if not my fave, one of my all-time faves.
Is that right? Nice. Good. That's a good one to choose from. There's and of course all the other relatable guys like. Did you see Velvet that came out recently in the last so many years?
Velvet?
Hold on.
I don't think so.
Just a sec.
This is so fascinating. Like I'm digging the hell out of this.
Yeah, this is fun. It's just so overwhelming. There's so much to look at. It's nice that someone can point you at certain things. But...
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. And then Gary, much like we were just talking about, where you're like, you've watched a bit of She-Hulk, enjoyed it, but when the hell are you going to have time? It's like that too with books.
Because I'm drawing all the time. So, and because Star Wars is like my like a first love, I make time for Andor, but yeah, She-Hulk I'm sure I'll circle back to, but
Andor
that makes me want to check out Andor if it's got your
Andor. If you liked Rogue One, you're gonna love Andor. Okay. I mean, it's that kind of vibe, but I think it's doing it even better than Rogue One did it. But...
Andor is the one that makes me want to buy Disney, the Disney Channel.
Yeah, it might. I mean, you could wait till it's done and then get it for a month, burn through it, cancel. I
want to own it. I want to own all those things. I'd rather just luxuriate it, and you can't do that trying to watch it on television. Okay, this is the best inheritor in my opinion right now. A lot of people say it's Lee Weeks. I disagree. This is the best. This is the best inheritor of Al Williamson style.
Really?
Steve Epting.
I'm writing it down.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
So this is ostensibly taking. Do you guys know who Modesty Blaze was?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. Just one sec. Just one sec.
Okay.
This is great. It's like learning all this new stuff.
I know.
How's BVSM D versus M? I've realized I should call it. How's it going?
Any of it's acceptable. It's going well. I mean, sticking to it. I'm actually a little ahead of schedule right now. So that's
really
good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's funny. So I started page 36 yesterday, and I started really adding, I was doing all my digital pencils and getting it all figured out, and it was kind of complex. And then you'll see it when it's done, or I might show it to you before, just a private message. I had this idea where it's like, this page actually could be super minimalist. And I think it would work. And I just tried it. I was like, what if we just really go heavy on the blacks on this and we're just hinting at things. And I liked how that looked better. And I'm thinking I could almost finish this page today. If I do it this way, this very minimal kind of bold, dark style, I could get it done now. And so now I think I'm getting ready to lay out page 37. I kind of skipped a week. So
amazing.
Nice
when it can happen, which is great because the past few pages I've done have been super involved and I was always limping across the finish line. But,
do you ever look at Toth much?
What's that?
Do you ever study Alex Toth's approach to comics?
Yeah.
With that white, gray, black. I've tried a couple of times to just insert gray, black, and holy crap, I gotta get on with this. I don't want to just keep belaboring this one image. How can I do a sort of Tolkien approach and just push values really extreme into contrast, and I'm like, and I always end up, no, I have to go back and draw it the normal way I do because there's a reason he did it the way he did it. So, okay.
Yeah, I didn't think it would work, but even when you guys see it in the context of the story, I'll be able to point out the page and you'll see like, oh, that. But suffice it to say, I had a more involved, intensive idea for that page, and then I realized, like, you know what? I think it would actually work better if I did this very minimalist thing.
Always nice when that works for the story. When the story like kind of leads you there, and then you're like, it's a simpler solution, but it's more effective. You know?
I think it's way more dramatic looking. Like, I think it just looks cooler, and just by happy coincidence. And I'm not one to avoid giving myself nightmare levels of work, so like I would sit and do it the more involved way, but I tried it out, and like I said, it just looked more dramatic and cool, and I wish I had thought of that originally, but so anyway,
like this is me pushing myself to. I don't draw digitally. I draw so old school basic, right?
Yeah, I've been watching you do that one. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I hope you like it. But here I'm drawing this thing, and I'm drawing it digitally, and it's like I never do this. And it's only because I finally have a proper pencil brush that I got from Scott's.
Oh,
you know Scott's newsletter?
Yeah.
Sign up and you get Scott's little how to do comics thing.
And that's the one you're using?
The brushes that he has in that, those brush tools you can put in Photoshop. This is the pencil one I'm using, and it's like for the first time I finally feel like there's a pencil brush that
Look
works
at
like
that. What a testimonial. I'm sure he'd be delighted.
Awesome.
You know, and so this is, well, like I've been drawing this digitally tonight. Anyways, okay. Modesty Praise is she owns an international company. She has all kinds of investments. She's got a private detective firm. Her assistant looks like Grace Bannon from Johnny Quest, big blonde. Hello, how would you like this? Would you like he's her sort of butler, major domo type.
Yeah,
it's this fantastic, independent, powerful woman character, but she's a spy, right? Or she's a private eye who's in these crazy situations. And so then this is, you know, X9 by Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson. So this is one of their syndicated newspaper strips.
Yeah.
Right? And so I have this volume of X9.
Yeah. Great.
It's just gross amount of these strips. But here it is. Like, look at this page. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I love that.
Okay. So this is Velvet. This is written by Andrew Baker. And it's illustrated by Steve Epting with inks by Brett Weiser. Right? And the titles for the books, by the way, incredible. The first, it's called Velvet Before the Living End. This is nice. About the secretary. So there's the first trade paperback. This is called The Evil That Men Do. But this is, tell me this isn't like the greatest inheritor of Al Williams.
I mean, it has definitely, I can see what you mean. Like, it has that,
like it's awesome. Basically what it is that the receptionist and assistant to the director of this, you know, ultra secret spy group, right? Mm-hmm. And so something happens, and right off the hop, their James Bond guy in the field is killed.
Okay.
And then,
you know what? Maybe I've heard of this. I think somebody told me about this book.
So it's so good. And then somebody starts whacking all of the major agents, all of the longtime agents and the directors of the organization. And so a bunch of these agents that they have going a witch hunt to see who it is in the office
Yeah.
And they go to take in the receptionist, and she hands them all their ass. And then, wearing a stealth suit, throws herself out of a 12-story building window. And it disappears in the night.
Goes on the run.
Because she is basically Modesty Blaze. She's been a deep cover role for 30 years as a receptionist.
Wow.
So when all this goes down, she's going to fix it. But look at some of these fight panels with the flipping over and the...
That looks really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How thick is that book? That looks massive. Yeah, that's a beefy.
That's amazing.
It's so it's basically their Al Williamson-esque spy thing, but set.
You're killing my Amazon cart, I think.
I know. I hate to do this too, but we're at like 11 o'clock, so I gotta call it because I'm old.
Yeah, I should probably. But it was fun to hang out for even a little bit.
It's inspiring.
Oh yeah,
it's inspiring.
It's great chatting with you guys, and it is very inspiring to find other people.
I'm glad I caught you guys. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I guess before we go, let people know where they can find your stuff if they haven't already. So I guess, Christopher, where can everybody find your stuff?
Where's it? There? Nope, there. It's there. It's beside me right now.
I love it.
There's ChristopherRunsman.ca. I have learned how to do ping files on my show. So like I have the stupidest titled podcast ever. This is no one wants to listen to my podcast.
I do like the name a lot.
I think that's great. I also like the double podcast that sells it.
Yeah.
Podcast.
It's when I say it, it's like, don't want to listen to my podcast.
So good.
Should every now and then. But yeah, if you guys ever want to come and hang out on my YouTube podcast show, you guys are more than welcome.
I will. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah.
Awesome. And then Gary, where can everybody catch your amazing stream that you did this morning? And then also where can they find your work and stuff?
Well, so you can find me on YouTube just under my name, Gary Hodges. You'll know it's me because the icon is a cartoony little dinosaur eating an alien. And then if you want to check out all my comic stuff, you can find links to everything on the YouTube too. But you can find links to everything in little teases on Instagram. Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. Dinosaurs vs Marsbots.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks for having us on, Josh.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Have a good night, fellas.